So we'll record everything now. So nandito na this is what we had. We have created a simple P. You cannot an H. You know what an H is, right? H1. Okay, let's run this. Mas malaki. H1 is bigger. It's the biggest header. Okay. Oh, yan. Malaki. Diba? Okay. Do you follow? Very simple. Now, let me explain the server-side controls that I'm talking about. No? Diba ang sabi, just earlier, I've told you that ASP.NET has dynamic server-side controls, and ASP.NET MVC only uses HTML helpers or HTML lang, pure HTML. What do you mean about this? No? Now, when you have a code, this is your code. Can you see that? Can you see this? No, I'll send this to 200%. Okay. No? Can you see the screen clearly, everyone? Can you see the screen clearly? Okay, so ganito. So if you have a web page, you will have a web page in front. You can view it in the same two ways: a source view or a design view. The design view appears shows how it appears in a in a browser. Do you follow? The source view will also give you the HTML source. Okay? Do you follow? Like an HTML, you will have a doc type. Okay? This is a Blazor language, no? Ito. Blazor ito. Okay. We will explain this later. No, this is like a JavaScript, but this time we'll not be doing JavaScript because we will have our own language. Okay, okay. Merong sariling language, no, in Blazor. Okay. So anyway, so this is the designer. How do you open the designer? You have home.aspx, right? If you double click this, no, it's given you the HTML. If this you double click this, it gives you the code behind. Okay, what is the code behind? This is like the code in behind the form that we were doing before. No, this will allow you to connect, or rather to control the web page. Let's find out how we can control that. No, so for example, we'll ask for a username and a password. Okay, do you follow? And we will check the username and if the password and the username is correct. No? So ito namang itong dalawa lang, no? Ito lang ginagamit dito, yung ito at saka ito. Do you follow? Let's go back to that. Now let's go to the design page. No? Let's remove this first. Let's show how it can be done. Merong div, no? So initially there's a div which we can manipulate right away. Let's go to the design view. Now instead of hard coding the controls, we can go to the toolbox, right? Okay. We have server-side controls in the toolbox, no? Bakit? Ayan, nakita natin. So we have several types, no? So nandito tayo. Okay. Let's go to the top. Okay. We have the standard controls. The standard controls are server-side controls. No, these are not HTML controls. Now below, for example, you have buttons, you have labels. No, you will have radio buttons. You will have a table. You will have a text box. You know what they are. And then in HTML, you will also have under HTML, you will have the same. No, you have a button. You have an input. Okay, let's try to put them separately so that you will know the difference. No, let's first put a label. No, let's put a label, a server side label. So dito tayo, label. Okay, label, we'll just drag it here in the div. Okay, now let's look at the source. So the label is an ASP label. It's not an HTML label. It's run at the server. It's not run at the client. No, do you follow? And the text is label. For example, if we'll change this to hello world. World, no? And then you go to the design view. So, naging hello world siya. Do you follow? Do you follow? And then, uh, let's add a break. No? Lagyan natin ng break dito. Para may difference. Kunyari, no? BR. Yes, it's a break. No? And then under it, we will add a normal label, no? An HTML label. Let's go. We'll go to that. No, we'll close this. The data also. We'll close natin yung iba para hindi malayo. Ang dami, no? We'll have to go to, the Windows Forms, no? Menus and toolbars, these are not for the, may iba dito na hindi pang web form. The Windows Forms can be useful. Ito, HTML. We'll put, is there a text? Okay. Okay, we'll just put an input text dito. Ilagay natin. Okay, yan, input ID. Do you follow? Do you follow? Okay. So what's the difference? Now we'll give this an ID. This is label 1. This is text 1. We'll run. Wait. This is text 1. HTML text 1. This is label 1. No, mali ito na. It should not be this. Let's remove this, no? Kasi type pala. Anyway, let's do that again. Well, wala akong makitang label eh. It's just a header or an image. Maybe just an H. No? Text area. Yeah. Let's put an ano na lang, an input text. Okay. Then we have a text here. What is that? Anyway, we'll just have that. And then we'll have another another input, no? Let's put another BR. Dalawa na, sorry. Nilagyan niya eh. You can drag from toolbox using either in source view or or in or in web forms ba ito? Checkbox. We'll have a text box. No? Let's do text box. Text box. Natin kung kaya na. Okay, so ASP text box. This is just an input ID text. Okay? Okay. And we have a text here. Let's run this. So ito yan. So these are two boxes, no? Which you can change, no? Like that, no? What's the difference? Now, in your code behind, no? You can change from the server what the value of the ASP components are. But the HTML components you cannot do. Okay, let's try to do that, no? So dito tayo sa ASP.NET. Pwede nating sabihin dito self dot Now this, I'm sorry, it's this that what's the name of our ano? What's the name of our ano? Text box one. This the text box one. The text equals hello world. Pwede, no? But how about input one? Input ID one. This the text one. So wala ang text one. Take note, walang text one. Why? Because we cannot edit that from the server. We cannot change the HTML from the server. The HTML components. Okay? Do you follow? So, in our toolbox, we will have both HTML components and ASP.NET components. No? Itong, okay, text box. Uh, text box. Okay, saan ba ito makuha, no? Okay. Windows Forms ito eh. But anyway, you can just search, no? You can just search from the, ano. So yung mag-enable, those are the things that you can put, no, in your web page. So therefore, the difference is clear, no? Let's go to the it has server-side dynamic components. Itong mga text boxes, combo boxes, you can put them on your web page and edit them on your code so that you can change them dynamically depending on the response of the user. Do you follow? Okay? You get my point? Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. Okay. So anyway, first, the next thing to do is we are going to make a login screen. So therefore, we would like to connect to a database server. If allow time, let's remove this first. Natin yan. So we'll connect to the web server. How do we connect to the web server? Okay. Or rather to the database server. We connect it using the old Visual Studio way. We will connect to a connection string. Do you follow? Here is the connection string. Remember, no? Ito yung connection string natin. This is our connection string before, no? Okay. This is our connection string before, no? Which we use to connect to our server, no? In our database server. You will need to have, you have to point to a server, to the name of the database, no? The user ID that you want to use, and the demo and the password. Let me open the demo database which we have before, no? Sorry, I'm working on something. That's correct. So nandito yung ating demo database before, right? And then we have the users, no? Ito yung user natin, si admin, siya lang mag-isa, no? Admin yung password, is an administrator. Let's add another user. User 1, user 1, and it's not an administrator, false, or you can have 0. Let's have 0 lang. You can have 0, that's false. We'll have this as 1. Yeah. Bakit ayaw? Hindi natin ito nalagyan. Let's close this again. We'll just check baka hindi ito naka-auto increment. Yes, it's yes. Therefore, we should be able to add. So this is true. yung spelling. So here's our database before. No? How did we connect this? We used a connection string. So ito yung connection string na ginagamit natin before. In the connection string, we specify the server, the database. We store this connection string to the project. How do we store this? I'll record this now. Anyway, where to store? Where do we record this connection to? We copy this. We will have a tag, no? An XML tag like this. Tag delimited by connection strings and end connection strings. We'll add a name called DB connection and the connection string that we did before. So we have a local our database. We will use our demo database, which we have here in our SQL server. So ito yung demo database, no, which will have the following tables: users, authors, customers, no. And then the users table will have the user login and the user password. Okay. Ito, username, password, no. Nandiyan, sulat. Gagamitin natin ito sa login. Do you follow? No. So first we have to set up the connection string and save it in our project. How do we do that? No? Now every project will have a web config file. Nandito sa web config file ito, no? You edit this and paste at the end, no? Ito, nandito. Basta hindi siya hindi siya mag-conflict with any other, no? Do you follow? Okay? So nandyan na yung connection string which we can use, no? To connect later. Do you follow? And then remember before we use a static global file. Now we are also going to use that because we don't want to repeat the connection and reconnection every now and then. We need to connect to the database. We do not need to repeat the code. No? If you look at the different videos, no, they tend to repeat the part which connects to the server. We don't want to do that. So we will add our Visual Studio uh, globals.cs file. How do we do that? We'll go to our C# progs. Nandito yun, di ba? Nandito sa ating ito. So anyway, we have to update it a little. So I'll show you the updates. No? Meron konting changes. There are certain changes that need to be done there. So we'll use the ASP.NET progs and then the login v1 and then we have no, do we have the globals here? No, we don't have the globals. Ito, nandito na. We will copy this, paste it in our project. So walang paste na, we'll just drag it anyway. That's the way to do that, no? Don't copy and paste to the folder because you will have a problem. So ito, i-drag natin dyan. Bakit nawala? No, hindi pa rin. Wala pa rin yun, no? Let me just copy this anyway, no? Kopyahan ko na lang. And then we'll add it to the project. ASP.NET Progs demos, no? Dito. I-paste ko na lang dito. Wala siya na gano'n. I-paste ko dito, no? Then we'll refresh this. How do we need to refresh? Let's add project, no? Add existing. So we need to have add existing. Where's globals? Yan, si globals.cs. Okay, yan. So lumabas na yung globals.cs. Okay. What is globals.cs? Let's double click this. Ito yon si globals.cs. This is the code which we uses to connect to the connection to SQL. Do you follow? And this time the connection string, instead of building it ourselves, we'll just say web connection manager connection strings DB connection. So nandito yon, ito yung this is DB connection itself. Ito si DB connection. So from globals.cs, which is our, no, we will connect to our database. This is how we connect to our database, right? This is how we close. Do you follow? Okay. And then SQL con is a static. Ano. We have removed the username and the password here. And the username and the admin name we have removed. Why? Because these are global variables. Global variables are different from session variables. What do you mean by this? If you have a global variable, the global variable you have will be in the server and it will apply to all users regardless of whether which client they're using, no? So for example, if I'm user 1 logging in at Opera browser and you are user 2 logging at Google Chrome on the same desktop, you will have the same value for the global variables, which we do not like. Because for example, the username, you will have the same username. No? Which you are two different users, you should have two individual usernames. Okay? Do you follow? Do you follow? Any questions so far? Okay. Any questions? So now we have to use our global variable, our globals, no? Because we are going to now make a make an login screen. Okay? Itong ating home, lalagyan lang natin ito muna ng welcome home. H1. Welcome to the home page. Okay? Do you follow? And then let's create a login page. How do we create a login page? Of course, we just go to the solution. Okay. We add new item. Okay. What kind of item? A web form. Okay. And let's rename the web form here para hindi na tayo mag-rename ng mag-rename. We'll call it login. Okay. Okay. So nandito na ngayon si login. Okay. So dalawa na yung ating page. We have a home page. Ito yung home page. Ito yung login page. Okay. So lalagyan natin ng, let's put an H1 again. Welcome to the login page. No? Now, if the user succeeds in the login, we will bring him to the home page. Otherwise, we'll just issue an error. Do you follow? Okay. How do we make the default page as login page as the default page? Okay. We can go to the properties of the solution. We go to the properties. Okay. And then the web. No? We indicate the specific start page. So, i-click natin. So, ang ating start page will be login ASPX. Do you follow? Okay? So, i-change natin kasi dati yung home page natin yung first page. So, we run. Okay. Oh, yan. Welcome to the login page. Now, what if, for example, we will have a login button which is successful? How do we go to the, How do we go to the home page? Let's add a button to illustrate this process. Okay. Design view tayo para mas madali. We'll have a button. Okay. Ilalagay natin dito. Ayan, may button. Let's name this. Now, you can name this in two ways. You can use the source dito, no? The source, we can use the ID here. Or in the design view itself, you can click on this and then you will have a name. Dito natin i-change, no? So, we'll have this as VTN login. And then our text to be login. So, we are programming the server, no? We're not programming the browser. Take note, no? So, kaya ito, button, hindi HTML button. So that we can dictate what we will do depending on the action of the user in the server side. Do you follow? Do you get my point? Hindi pa tayo mag-connect sa database. I'm just going to illustrate how to transfer. How do we transfer? You can double click this, no? And it will bring you to the code behind. No? So to transfer, we'll just say response dot redirect to the home.aspx. Okay? Ganyan, no? Do you follow? No? Response.redirect. The name of the page. This is home.aspx. Kaya, URL based tayo, no? URL based tayo. You have to know the URL. This is home.aspx. This is login.aspx. Let's run that. Okay. Login. O, yan. Pumunta siya sa, sa login page. If you go back, nasa login page, no? And then login. Okay. Do you follow? So now we can transfer from page to page. We can transfer to a particular page depending on the choice of the user. So let's create an about page. Okay. New. Let's go to the solution. Right click on this and add. First Add. Add new item. This time we add a web form again. The name of this will be the about page. About page. So ayan, meron tayong about. Lagyan na lang natin ng H1. This is the about page. Okay. We can use an href. No? You can use an href to href or what's that link? Hyperlink. Hyperlink. Now, let's not do that here. We'll go to the home page. And then in the toolbox, we'll have a link, a hyperlink. No? This is ASP, which will use the HTML. We'll use the HTML. Patay sa HTML part. Let's just Google the hindi ko memorize yung syntax, no? HTML link. What's the link tag for HTML? Gayahin na lang natin to. We'll have an example. Anyway. Gayahin natin. Okay. It's the thing with, mahirap mag-memorize. Lagyan natin ng href. About page. Lagyan natin. Okay. So, pwede na ito. This is okay because this is static, no? What's the name? About.aspx. Okay. Let's run this. So, pwede ganyan, no? But the problem with HTML links, okay? The problem with HTML links is we cannot dictate how this runs. This will always go to the about page. Now, what if you will dictate how it runs depending on the user input? Do you follow? Okay. So let me show you the difference. No, instead we'll also create a button. Button. Now we'll name this button btn about text. Go to. Ganyan, di ba? Di follow? How do we jump to about ASPX? We can't do this in the HTML because it's static. Okay. However, we can do it on the code behind. No? So dito sa home, ito. Okay. Wala tayong handler for the ito. Okay. So we'll go to the design page, itong about page, double click natin. Then we now have a handler for the button click. Okay? So we'll just say response dot redirect about dot aspx. So you see the difference, no? What I'm trying to illustrate here is the difference between an HTML control and a server-side control by ASP.NET. No? Pag login mo, ito, go to about page. Halos pareho lang sila, di ba? What's the difference? The server-side control can be dictated. We can dictate. Okay? Pwede pa tayo maglagay ng ano dito. Maglagay ng maraming ek-ek. Do you follow? We can decorate this with a lot of responses before we go to the about page. We can do this dynamically in the server itself, no? So when you are writing programs here, these are programs that will affect the server. This is how the server will react to the ano, uh, to the client. Do you understand? Do you follow? No? Okay. Okay, for the moment, we'll go to the login page. Tanggalin muna natin itong ano. Let's remove the response.redirect. Okay. Now let us use, okay, let us add more, no? So lagyan natin ng username and password. Okay? Username and password before the login. We'll put them in the div para mas madali control. Okay, what happened? Sorry, I made a mistake. Anyway, hindi naman mahirap dito mag-correct because may auto-sense. Sorry, nawala. We'll just close this and let's not save this. Let's open this again. Let's put a div. Kamali ako ng, no? Sorry, I made a mistake. Okay. So, if you have this, no? Paglagay mo nito, if you look at the ano, meron siya automatically like this, no? A button login page, no? Okay. Now, you can also click on this and look at the properties, no? Dito sa kanyang ano, okay. You click this and then on the event handlers, so meron siyang on click btn login. Do you follow? Sarigumba is here. Okay. Any questions so far? So we can control the button on the server side. Di ba maganda? Ano? You can really program the ano, the HTML. So let's go to the source para madali natin mano. Let's add a label. Okay. So may label na tayo. We'll call this LBL username. The text is username. You can also change this inside the program. No? Username. Remember, look at that. It runs at the server. Okay. By default, it runs as a server. Okay. So this is easy, no? Hindi ito katulad doon sa ano, sa Django or sa ano na you have to do everything, to code everything. Dito you just have to Drag and drop like you're writing a Windows application. In fact, we are using some of our Windows application before. Okay? Okay? Log in username and we'll put a BR. No, a text muna. Is this? Yes. Then we'll put a div na lang para magsama sila, di ba? Magsama yung dalawa, yung label saka yung label saka yung input. We are not going to use an input because an input is an HTML control, which means we cannot find out what's inside what's the user response, no? Hindi natin makontrol kung HTML. Do you follow? So, we will use a label, text box. Hindi tayo gagamit ng user input. Put it here. Okay? So, we'll say txt username. Okay? Do you follow? Let's look at the design view. So, ayan ang username. Ayan. Okay? We can use an NBSP. You know what an NBSP? Masyado silang ano eh. Mahirap ito i-control eh, no? So, ganyan. Okay? So, what we'll do is, we can put an NBSP. NBSP. Okay? Let's view that. Ayan, may space. We can put two NBSPs. Now, ngayon, wala muna tayong CSS, no? Okay? We'll go to CSS later, no? So, yeah. We can put another NBSP. What's an NBSP? Anyone? NBSP. Non-breaking space, which means it's just a space which will not split it into a line. Okay? It's different from break. So you look at the design view, it's like that. Username. And then we'll put another div. And then we'll put a break between the divs. Eh, ba't lalagyan niya? Hindi niya nilagyan. Yan. Okay. Lagyan niya. Now, let's look at the design. So, meron na, ano. What will we put in this div? We'll put another label, which is password. Okay? Kukuha na naman tayo dito ng label. Ang maganda pag ASP.NET control is you can change the label text, no? Dynamically in the server. Kung HTML yan, kung HTML label, kung P or you use P or H, you cannot change it from the server. Although in other platforms, no, you can have HTML helpers to change your HTML. Dito we don't change them. We will use dynamic .NET components. Okay, itong mga ASP labels will say LBL password. Okay, then we'll put an NBSP also. Two NBSPs. Okay, two NBSPs. Wala na ang we'll just put it back. Okay, and then we'll add another text box. So this is very enjoyable, no? Easy time lang. You'll have an easy time, no? Okay. ID is text box. We'll call this txt password. Password. Now, it's important that you hide it with the password character. Kasi titingnan natin na. Let's run this. Okay. admin. Problema naman, pag tap mo dito, hindi hidden. Okay? Hindi hidden. Okay? 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 So, hindi hidden. So, we'll have to change the part character, no. We'll just click on the password type and then one of the characters is, I think, no, hanapin natin, nalimutan ko yung ano niya, but just, the text mode, no? Remember the text mode character, okay? Can you see that? The text mode character we change to password, okay? As easy as that, no? The text mode character of the text box. So let's run this again. Okay, admin. So it's now a password. Okay. Now we'll have a break again, okay? Wala pa naman tayo. Ubusin natin ito dahil kailangan nating bumawi. Any questions? I'm going to upload all sessions, okay? Okay? Please be back now. Kasi, well, I'll be back right away now. So, I just have to end this so that we can save.